Andy Crouppen of Brown and Crouppen joins us to talk about what parents should know before saying, bring the party on over to my house. Andy, good to see you this morning.
Likewise.
All right, so 'tis the season, right? May is upon us. People are going to be graduating. Prom has either come and gone or will be coming soon. Your kid comes to you and says, Dad, it'd be so much safer if me and my underage friends had the party here and you provided us the alcohol. What do you tell that kid?
No.
Good answer.
Yeah, I mean,
good answer.
Everyone's looking, I think, asking the question as many different ways as they can, hoping it's going to be a different answer. But the answer is, you have common sense, use it. You can't serve alcohol to well, actually, technically, I think you can serve it to your own children.
Your own kid.
But
That's
who
the
does
odd
that
thing.
benefit?
No one.
You know, you have other people's children in your home. And I think you hear a lot of people saying, you know, if my kid's going to drink, I'd rather have them do it in my home, under my supervision. And it's faulty logic. Because first of all, you're encouraging them to drink, which means they're not just going to do it in your home. They're going to do it next weekend at their friend Chris's house when their parents are out of town.
And even though you as a parent, I think, in the back of your head are thinking this is a one-time thing, it's a special day, think about their vantage point and what kind of message they're getting from you.
You're telling them to drink. You're telling them it's okay.
Yeah.
And, you know, all high school kids, or a vast majority of them drink. It's just a fact. And I think that once we accept that, we can then kind of steer it into the safest possible way we can. But, you know, this is one of the happiest times of year for a high school kid or for parents of a high school kid. You have prom, you have graduation, and it can become the most tragic.
Sure.
So it's so important to set guidelines. Kids want rules. Kids want to have guidance, and it also lets them have a bad guide. No, my dad won't let me do it. My mom won't. You know what I mean?
Scapegoat.
It helps.
Let me give you another tough one. The kids are downstairs having hot dogs and soda because they're behaving, but the adults are upstairs having a good time. A friend of yours has clearly had too much, and yet you keep throwing the bottles over to him. And then he leaves, he gets in a car accident. What kind of liability do you as the host, I guess, of the party have at that point?
First of all, it makes you a bad friend.
True.
You know, look out for your friends. It's another area of common sense. In general, if you're not in the business of serving alcohol, you're not a restaurant, in general, it absolves you of some liability. However, that being said, if you do things, once things cross over into negligence, if you just do things, you know somebody's intoxicated and you encourage them to drink, hey, let's do a couple shots before you leave. You know, I think you can always get yourself into trouble, and most of the time, if you step away, common sense is always going to rule the day, and if you use a little common sense, you're going to keep yourself out of criminal, civil liability, and maybe save your friend or a stranger a very serious injury.
If you don't like being the bad parent, I loved this idea that you guys had, which was take the party to a restaurant or a bar so that the bartender can be the bad guy and say, sorry, no valid ID, no drinks.
Well, not only be the bad guy, but they're also, it's much easier for a bartender who's a professional, who's trained to deal with people who have had too much to drink. It's much easier for them to kind of keep an eye on who's drinking than it is for you as a host to either watch and monitor all your guests or even have to have that awkward conversation or sometimes hostile conversation of, give me your keys. No, I'm not, you know what I mean?
Yep, I know what you mean.
Let a bar do it. I know it sometimes can be a little more expensive, but it can also save lives.
Doing the right thing does not necessarily win you a popularity contest. That's the bottom line. Thanks, Andy. Good chat this morning.
Thank you.
If you have a legal question for Brown and Crouppen, you can email us at greatday@kmov.com. We'll pass it on to them. Have a good